dive into something else. Hello, Steve Laffey. Good morning, SteveLaffey.com.
Hey, Jimmy, great to talk to you this morning. I think things are growing in leaps and bounds for you. Rumble, I have to figure that one out too, I suppose, but...
Rumble's easy. Rumble's the YouTube that conservatives don't get thrown off of.
Oh,
YouTube
okay.
as well.
Yeah, there's so many now. There's so many, I just don't know what to say.
Yeah. Rumble got created because of a lot of content that was getting kicked off and shadow banned by Google, and YouTube is over there. Rumble's a platform that also, like Dan Bongino, put some money into and is on the board of directors. So that's where it came from.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Steve Laffey, good morning to you, sir. Let's dive in. I said last night the real news of the speech wasn't any policy. The news was the Democrats' reaction to the speech. Which,
Yeah.
They should have just let the speech be the speech, but their reaction when you can't cheer for a little boy that's a cancer survivor getting a Secret Service badge, and you can't cheer for a kid getting a West Point appointment with a 4.664 thing. You can't cheer for a girl that was held hostage and tortured for having a wildlife reserve named after her in Galveston. When you can't cheer for this for the border security. Right. A guy the border agent that was recognized for heroic acts. When you can't cheer for that, at that point, you can hate the orange man and his policy all you want, but when you can't cheer for some of these things, it's just, you know what, they're Americans, and God bless that little kid that survived cancer. There's something deep wrong in your soul, I think, Steve, when you just can't come together and fight for that.
The inability of our country to bring anything back together, of any sense of normalcy that existed before Barack Obama, let's say, or certainly during the Clinton administration, to bring it anywhere back as the country continues to split apart, split up, whatever you want to say. People don't invite each other to dinners. People can't speak to each other about different politics. It's brutal, and it comes... Well, it started really with Obama, right? But Trump has made it worse, but it doesn't mean anything about like last night. Or on the other side, wasn't it Mrs. Green who screamed something out when Biden was speaking, or some other Republican guy? I mean, to scream things out, or this guy, Al Green, I thought Al Green was a soul singer. I don't know, he was a congressman too. but jokingly, but for someone to scream stuff out, interrupt the president, or not, it's bizarre, but it's a reflection of America that's splitting up. It's a reflection of our education system, as I go back to every time we can in the show, that has destroyed young people, and even people up to 35, 40 who don't even understand or care that they're not getting Social Security. They don't care. They pay into it. They don't care. They don't know. They don't care. They don't even know they're not paying in 6.5%. They're paying in 13%. They don't even know.
Yeah. Steve Laffey, if you're just listening, some people are working right now, like walking and doing chores, and not sitting and watching a television screen or a computer monitor, and so they don't know that that's the voice of Steve Laffey. His website is SteveLaffey.com. Steve, let's dive into a couple of the stories. We're going to talk more about the Trump speech throughout the course of the program. You sent me something from the Wall Street Journal. A lot of, we heard how many times did Joe Biden try to forgive student debt? He got struck down by the Constitution, by the Supreme Court, saying you can't do that, not the Constitution. You sent me the headline that, hey, Americans with student loans are waking up to the reality that they got to pay these back, or it comes to being on their credit score.
Well, the statistic is so mind-numbing that I have to say it out loud to people who don't have student loans, let's say. 43% of Americans have not... Borrowers who owe payments and haven't resumed making them even though they're supposed to. 43%, Jimmy, not 4%, not 4.3%. Nearly half of the people who owe money. So think about what must have happened for them to be not knowing and not making the payments. They don't get their emails. They don't see the news. They thought maybe they were forgiven by Biden, who tried unconstitutionally several times, managed, I think, forgive about $180 billion of the $1.7 trillion, which is disastrous. But now because they're going to go buy a car, and they walk into an auto dealership and they thought they had a credit score of 720. The perfect one is 850 that nobody gets, right? But and 720 is fine, but now it's 620. And it's happening all over America. And you're reading the article, and here's some of the people. Here's Mr. Garcia. I'm devastated. Maybe it's Mrs. Garcia. I don't know. I'm devastated. A 39-year-old nurse from Modesto. It's like having a whole life put in limbo. She owes $16,000 that she had in abeyance for all these years. So a number of points. It goes back to the fact of, when did this happen? Right? It happened under Trump. So people know. He started it. It just is what happens with Republicans. They start something really stupid, like closing down the country and then postponing the payments of student loans. And then the Democrats come in and they make it 10 times worse. They made $186 billion go away, which means every plumber listening to this, everybody who paid off their loans, you paid for it. You paid for the schlock who went to CSU from out of state, from Nebraska, paid $50,000 a year, borrowed $120,000, or their parents from Student Plus loans or whatever it was, and you're paying for it with the national debt. That's what's going on. What would we do with $186 billion that we didn't forgive over time? We could do a lot with. How about paving some roads? So this is unbelievable that people are this dumb and don't know what's happening. Remember, they're in the age group. The people who don't know what's happening in the age group I talk about all the time, they're 39. You go through the article. Here's a guy 28. So, yeah, here's another guy, Jack Matthews, wherever he is, he noticed this month. He hasn't paid it back. So where are we in the country where this is actually happening? Like, where could we possibly be? We've made no improvement of trying to get these student loans down. We've made no decisions about who to loan the money to, who not loan the money to. We still have these Parent Plus loans running amok, where parents are signing off on kids who can't possibly pay it back. You and I have discussed many solutions. I've been on with Mr. Cuomo on News Nation discussing 5-6 different solutions to this. It's now nearly $2 trillion of student loans. But nothing's being done about it. And now we have people that are this dumb that don't know. It seems impossible. See, I used to think it was impossible, Jimmy. I used to think that this wasn't true. That the person actually knew and just wanted to tell the Wall Street Journal, I didn't know. I don't think that anymore.
I took a loan, but I didn't know I had to actually.
I think they don't know because they don't keep up and they're totally surprised. And these are the people, when you see an advertisement, there's an advertisement goes around now when I try to watch YouTube. And it's one of the many things they repeat all the time. But it's like somebody can help you go to your Visa account, go to your MasterCard account, and you don't know you're paying 36 monthly things for $6, $8, whatever. And they could take it away and get rid of it for you. People don't know what's on there. Like, that's an ad where someone's making millions for a company doing this where anybody could do it. What am I doing? I'm in the wrong business. I was in the wrong business. We need to help really stupid people chew gum and walk at the same time. That's what we got to do.
Public service announcement, if you take out something called a loan, you do need to pay that back. And maybe you should then look at the wisdom as to whether that loan is necessary. Maybe you could go to the in-state school, get in-state tuition, etc. And don't major in underwater basket weaving or social services if you're going to take $100,000 out of the loan. Get a real job that's going to pay bills. Steve, another story off the beaten path today because everybody's talking about the dim reaction, the Trump speech, etc. Again, the breaking news not in policy last night. It was really the reaction of the Democrats just sitting on their hands. But let's go to Germany. Germany is an interesting country. CBS 60 Minutes had the story about how they're really clamping down. I mean, if you insult someone or call someone fatty or dumb, like when we just call people dumb, in Germany, you and I would go to jail because we have insulted people. But Germany just had an election, and I'll let you pick it up from there. Because they've had kind of a changing of the guard, and they're dealing with a lot of debt as well.
Yes. Now, here's the deal that people 10 years from now may rue. This is sort of the success of what's happening with the Trump NATO, the Trump whatever, tariff stuff, right? Because Germany had an election last Sunday, and a guy named Merz won, and he's more right of center than the other people and so forth, right? But he's going to unite not with what they call the far right, which I can't figure out why they're far right, but nobody in America really can. But they're always far right if they don't like immigration, I guess. So anyway, but the big news is that their debt to GDP is about 60%. And they have something called a debt break. We've talked about the Swiss debt break as a good model for America on this show several times. But they are now going to bust the debt break. And they're going to go spend a lot on defense and a lot on infrastructure and a lot on whatever they have to spend on, which two major things they got to spend on. So this is actually really, really big news. You will see now other countries, Greece can't copy it, that debt's too big, but you will see other people now, they are now shifting away from America. They're going to handle things themselves the way France does. And the implications are really big. I think you'll see Germany start to grow again. Germany's been the dead group for a long time. They're going to start to grow again. And here's the other thing people should realize. They're not going to buy defense equipment from Boeing or Lockheed or America. They're going to be like France. They're going to buy it from themselves. So this is why Boeing stock continues to go down. This whole sea change that we will come to regret, I think, is the other countries now are saying, forget it. Here come the tariffs. Here comes the NATO stuff. We're going to do it ourselves. And Germany, being very industrious, right, having the ability to do this, will now start to do it, along with the UK and other countries. But the ominous thing is that now you're going to have 10 years from now, 6 years from now, whatever, Germany may have nuclear weapons. Remember, they're not going to talk about we can't mention what happened in the past anymore. They, like Japan, are getting ready to go. Now, if you go back through history, when the Germans and the Japanese got ready to go with military spending and built it way up, we had a couple of world wars. So this is the problem with America not being the world's superpower. And here's the other thing I talked to you about 2 months ago on this show, Jimmy. The dollar's going to start to go down. And it is. It's down 3% this year. Now remember, currencies like the United States of America don't drop 20%. We're not Turkey. The dollar's going to continue to go down, in my belief. And in the game we're playing, here's the real game we're playing in the confidence game. This is like, the famous movie The Sting, a real confidence game. We take in $5 trillion of revenue for America. We owe not $36 trillion in national debt. We owe $135 trillion Social Security unfunded. The 5 to 135 is the worst ratio of all time for any world superpower in the history of mankind. The confidence game is going to end. The dollar will collapse. And I'll say it again. Go back to Nixon's speech in 72. We got 71. You won't notice it unless you leave America. Now, here's the question for everybody when the tariffs come in. Who handles these tariffs better in a weakening dollar better? Really rich people or really poor people? I would surmise that really rich people or financial experts like me who have a lot of euros, a lot of pounds, not many dollars, lots of precious metals, handle it better than the middle class, which is going to get totally hosed again, but seems to, right now, okay with what's happening. They won't be okay with what's happening with Canada if this stays. They won't. I told you this last week. They won't be okay with no aluminum. They won't be okay with no cars. They won't be okay with higher prices.
Steve Laffey, it's always a pleasure. Going to get Troy Anderson coming up next.
Amen.
Friend. God bless you. I appreciate you. SteveLaffey.com, Laffey. SteveLaffey.com, SteveLaffey.com. Hey, welcome to the program, everybody. Question.
And so just to go on just a little bit more about this. The big question is this, can the animal spirits of deregulation and lower taxes overcome, along with, I guess, the AI that will produce unbelievable growth and no job cuts, but can that overcome the massive uncertainty that's about to happen? What I didn't get in with Jimmy, which maybe we'll talk about next week, is that the Atlanta Fed been fairly accurate about predicting upcoming GDP numbers and other things too. The Atlanta Fed is a pretty good website to go to if you ever want to do what I do. Nobody's perfect. They're still doing the wrong thing as far as what's going on with inflation. But they've taken economic growth from like 2% to negative 2% in this quarter. And I don't think, and I haven't looked it up yet, there's ever been this fast a reduction in growth. Now, some of that's about what happened in December when everybody was trying to make sure imports came into this country for the tariffs. So it may just be part of that. But this massive uncertainty caused by Donald Trump is not going away. It's going to continue. And what does uncertainty do for people about to build a new building, take on a new venture? Makes them not do it on the margin. So we'll see.